the presence of National Guard troops is expanding in Washington, D.C., as President Trump is urging Congress to pass a crime bill and also extend his federal takeover of the Washington, D.C. Police Department.
So we're going to need a crime bill that we're going to be putting in, and it's going to pertain initially to D.C. We're going to use it as a very positive example. And we're going to be asking for extensions on that, long-term extensions, because you can't have 30 days. We're going to do this very quickly, but we're going to want extensions. I don't want to call national emergency. If I have to, I will.
Brian Todd's in D.C. Brian, are you seeing a larger number of National Guard troops on the ground?
We are seeing a larger staging presence here, Jake, and we are told by a White House official that starting tonight there will be a significantly larger National Guard presence on the streets of Washington, D.C. As I mentioned, this is a major staging area. My photojournalist Andrew Smith and I will kind of go down this fence line here and show you what you're looking at. This is the National Park Police facility in the Anacostia section of Washington, D.C. You can see National Guard armored Humvees right here. We are told that guardsmen and other federal agents have been staging from here for the last couple of nights. You can see Metropolitan Washington police vehicles here. We have seen FBI personnel coming in with Kevlar vests and weapons, and one taking a rifle out of his vehicle. Now, the National Guardsmen, we're told, will not be carrying firearms on their person, but they will have them in their vehicles ready if need be. You can also see kind of a command control center over there where those temporary communication stanchions are, and you can see some personnel gathering over there. We have seen several jurisdictions represented here, including the Capitol Police, the Metro Transit Police, again, the FBI, and others. Now, according to a White House official, Jake, there were 43 total arrests last night in the district. That official saying that was double the number from the previous night. And significantly, the official told us that with those 43 arrests last night, the total number of arrests as of last night surpassed more than 100 since this operation began last Thursday, August 7th. Now, among those arrests were 1 for homicide, 33 firearms violations, 7 narcotics-related charges, and several other charges. Again, we're told that, again, the National Guard presence will be significantly larger tonight. The White House official who we spoke to said the National Guard, though, will not be arresting people. They are here to make the environment safer for other officers, and we're going to see what the task force comes up with tonight. We've been fanning out with them for the last couple of nights, and again, National Guardsmen will be making themselves much more present, at least visibly, here in Washington tonight.
The White House says the number of National Guard troops in Washington, D.C. is expected to expand this evening as President Trump's federal takeover of the city's police force enters its third day. The White House added that the National Guard overnight presence will expand to 24/7. This after U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, Jeanine Pirro, went on Fox to highlight the number of arrests made in D.C. last night.
There were 43 arrests, and we seized 7 handguns. And every night it's something else. But this is a message that we're not going to tolerate crime.
CNN's Kristen Holmes is at the White House for us right now. Kristen, today President Trump said he's going to ask Congress to extend this federal takeover beyond 30 days.
Yeah, that's right, Jake. I mean, first he actually said that if there's a national emergency, he doesn't have to go through Congress. Now, he and his team both know that that would require a lot of legal hurdles, I mean, defining national emergency in this case. Then he quickly said that after 30 days, he does plan on bringing this to Congress. So it appears that this would go much longer than many originally thought, particularly that includes Mayor Muriel Bowser, who seemed to think that there was an end time cap on this, and President Trump himself doesn't seem to think that that is the case. Now, here's what he said about this ramping up of federal law enforcement presence in D.C.
We're going to fight crime. That's a good thing. Already they're saying he's a dictator. The place is going to hell, and we've got to stop it. So instead of saying he's a dictator, they should say we're going to join him and make Washington safe.
Now, and a couple things to note here, Jake. I mean, we heard President Trump also talking about essentially that this was a test period to look at other cities as well, like Chicago, like New York. What does this actually look like in the long term? That's been one of the biggest questions. It should be made clear that the jurisdiction he has to do this does not apply in cities like New York and Chicago. This is all because of home rule. There are not as many safeguards up around D.C. because it does not have statehood. So how this would actually translate nationwide, that remains to be seen. But clearly, President Trump and likely some of the White House is viewing this as a model for something they will want to try in the future.
All right, Kristen Holmes at the White House, thanks so much. Here to discuss, CNN senior political commentator Scott Jennings Margaret Hoover of PBS's Firing Line and former CNN senior political analyst John Avlon. Margaret, let me start with you. So the mayor of D.C., Muriel Bowser, she came off rather subdued on Monday when this announcement was made by President Trump. But there was a tonal shift that many observed last night when she held a community town hall. Take a listen.
We all need to do what we can in our space, in our lane, to protect our city and to protect our autonomy, to protect our home rule, and get to the other side of this guy and make sure we elect a Democratic House so that we have a backstop to this authoritarian push.
Authoritarian push. What do you make of that?
Well, of course she feels that way. As the mayor of her city, she believes she has jurisdiction over her city, except for that she sort of doesn't, right? This is why the president has authority to send in the National Guard to her city. Look, she has two audiences. She has the audience of her local leadership in Washington, D.C., but she is also, there's a total shift between that and also between her saying, actually, we'll take all the help we can get because we do want security in the city, and if we have extra resources, how can we deploy these resources in a way that best streamlines in a way that will provide more security for the people of our city. The real question, I think, if you step back, is this concern about the normalization of sending federal troops into U.S. cities. And most Americans, when they see these images, can become desensitized to these images of a president sending troops into American cities. He has authority to do this here. He doesn't have authority to do it in Chicago or in New York. And people, I think, all of us should be concerned about checks and balances and a president who is very eager to send federal troops into American cities.
So, John, one of the things that I hear from Democrats is, crime in D.C. is on the downswing. It's the city's doing better. Here's what President Trump had to say about that. Take a listen.
The numbers are worse than they ever are. Don't let anyone tell you they're not. And the whole statistical charts that they made, the whole thing is a rigged deal. They got rid of the guy because he didn't want to do the numbers the way they wanted to, and they put their own numbers out. They said it's the best in 20 years. No, it's the worst in 20 years.
Now, I believe what President Trump was talking about, there was a report in the local NBC in D.C. about a D.C. police commander who was suspended in May of this year after the police union alleged that he was manipulating data to make it appear that violent crime in his area of the city, which I think was like the Adams Morgan area, had fallen more than it actually had. Liberals, Democrats often are suspicious of police numbers, but it's interesting because in this instance, they are citing them. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, it's important we have a fact-based debate. Right. And I'm a tough on crime guy, worked for Rudy Giuliani back when he was mayor. But this is something very different, right? First of all, the idea that he's calling out the importance of a number, someone should, have him call the Bureau of Labor Statistics, where he just canned someone for telling the truth. You want to pass tough on crime bill? Pass a tough on crime bill. Give cities more resources to combat crime. But don't just go ahead and try to normalize using federal troops in U.S. cities. And that's the slippery slope we're on right now.
Well, what about that idea? What about the idea that this is, even if one supports this effort, it's a Band-Aid, right? It's not like hiring 500 additional cops in D.C.
And I think they do have a staffing shortage in the D.C. Police Department. They need to fix that. I don't know what's authoritarian about putting some extra eyes and ears on the street, getting criminals off the street to keep people from being murdered and carjacked. Nobody in their right mind believes Washington, D.C. is safe. And to say the president's trying to help us keep people from getting murdered and carjacked and we have to stop this authoritarian push, it's just sort of ridiculous rhetoric. These Democrats don't know what to do with themselves. Every time Donald Trump tries to do something, they reflexively feel the need to oppose it without thinking through the political implications for themselves.
You think Democrats are taking the bait?
Well, I think they're acting like idiots here. The city is crime-ridden. I saw a guy get murdered in Union Station in February at 4 p.m. I saw the body hit the floor at the bottom of the escalator on the second floor. And so everybody who visits there, everybody who lives there knows it's a serious problem. You have extra eyes and ears. They've arrested criminals. They're getting illegal guns off the street. People feel safer. Tourists feel safer. What is the problem?
Margaret?
I mean, the problem is, look, it's a series. There's you and I both know it's not that Washington and sending National Guard troops into Washington is legally permissible And it would be completely different if he had sent troops into New York City, for example. And the issue is that he's normalizing this for American eyes and ears. And making it seem like, oh, look, there's a crime problem. We'll just send the military. Because there is a slippery slope problem, Scott. You and I both know that. I mean, we come from a conservative pedigree that really respects checks and balances, that respects the military's lane and civil society's and police's lane. And there are ways to secure a city. You and I both know that. Like, we watched Rudy Giuliani turn a city around.
Could do it. All
It
these
would be
cities in
great.
America,
I agree. They can't get it right in Chicago. They can't get it right.
Decline of the United States, except for Donald Trump's first term.
Well, but like the urban policies in many of these cities have been failing. But the answer isn't to send the military in. You send the military in, you think that's normal? We're going to have a lot of problems down there.
So